So as you can see, our turbo is here and our fuel stuff for the most part. I'm waiting on one fitting to come in still. But what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So if you guys caught it in the live stream, you know what that is. We have in hand our Precision 6870 turbo. And I am so excited. The car goes to fab on Monday. I was down at the fabricator's shop yesterday. He welded in a bung for me on the 05 STi for the water temp sensor for the DEFI gauges that we just got in the car. And we were down there talking, shooting the shit a little bit. So car gets towed down there Monday. He's gonna start on fabrication. He said it's probably gonna take between like 2 and 3 weeks-ish. I'm gonna extend that timeline a little bit just because I think there's gonna be some things that come up that need to get done. But I've got a lot of stuff on the table right here to show you guys, go over you guys with. I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited. Look at this chonker right here. Look at this massive chonk, dude. There's a 16-ounce can of energy drink as a comparison. This turbo is huge. This thing is massive, dude. This thing is literally as big as my head. So a lot of you guys, we did go back and forth a little bit between like a dual turbo or a twin turbo setup and a big single setup. Ended up going with the big single setup just because fabrication costs were significantly cheaper, and trying to do all this on a budget. This is like, we're working with what we got. So this is a Precision 6870 dual ball bearing turbo. The exhaust housing is a T4 divided. We went with a 1AR for the hot side, so it'll be a good mix between top end power and spool up. Compressor housing, it's 4-inch inlet, 3-inch outlet, V-band, everything. Compressor housing size is a 0.70 AR, so this thing is gonna make some sauce. This turbo right here is rated up to 1100 wheel horsepower. It's either 1000 or 1100, I don't know. This is gonna be an intermediate turbo for us because after a while we are gonna swap this out for something bigger, probably a 7135 or something, just the next step up from this. The 70 series turbos were they were like $700 more. So I got the 6870 with all the bling. I think this came out to about $2,500 or so, but you guys, that thing is the most beautiful turbo. This is the biggest turbo I've ever had too, so I am more than excited to look at that. It just goes into the void right there. I am more than excited to get this on the car. So we're gonna mock this guy up today. Second, to give you guys details on the build, these are the exhaust flanges for the EG33. Now, while I was down at the fabricator yesterday, he gave me 2 sizes to bring up here and test on these flanges to see which one would fit better. I believe this first one is 1 1/4 for the diameter of it. It's a little bit too small for these exhaust flanges. Like if I try to like get it on there, it's a little bit too small. So we're gonna be going with 1.5. I believe it's 1.5. Fits perfectly on the flanges. So this is what we're going to be using for all of our exhaust stuff. Third, I don't know. We have all of our fuel system stuff here with the exception of one fitting that shows up tomorrow. So we can pretty much get the fuel system built today. Up here in the engine bay, these are the ASF machine fuel rails. They are a -8 fuel rail. So what we're going to be using here is we're going to have a -8 feed going into the fuel rail and a -6 return. So we have our fuel pressure regulator up in the box up there too. So as you guys remember in the last video, we pulled out the hard line that went from the fuel tank back there all the way up here to the front of the car. I already have the new fitting in the fuel tank. This is the inducer, I guess you'd call it, the bigger version. So it's a -6 right here, -6 right here, -8 right there. So we're gonna run this line underneath of the car, underneath all the plastic trim down there, up into the engine bay. Once it's up into the engine bay, we can tee it off and do our feed for our fuel rails, which is good. That's what we need. Now, once we have feed up here, I'm guessing it's probably going to come out somewhere around like down there, not quite sure yet. Once it's up here, we may swap this because right now I have -8 on the front of the fuel rails and -6 on the rear of the fuel rails. We're going to have to find a spot for our fuel pressure regulator today, so we'll get that mounted up. But before we even start on fuel stuff, I want to show you guys turbo placement of where I'm thinking for this, and then we'll start on fuel stuff. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on, you guys. A lot of things are happening. So the turbo obviously has to be clocked, but this is pretty much where we're thinking for turbo location. So we'll have all of our engine stuff here. We're gonna have some big empty space over here. We might do something fun over there. I'm not sure yet. So this is gonna work perfect. Exhaust routing is gonna go down like a normal EJ, but instead of cutting back right here, it's gonna continue past that frame rail right there, come around, and then mount up to our turbo right about there. Downpipe, we don't quite know what we're doing yet. These power steering lines I'm not too concerned about. because I can just make custom power steering lines to be able to feed that. So I'm not too worried. We'll probably do AN lines on those. So downpipe routing, if we can, I would like to try to get it to straight shot back down there and then run a full cat back. Worst comes to worst, we'll do a fender exit. It's no big deal, but turbo placement, that's pretty much what we're thinking because we don't really have any space to do this anywhere else. A lot of people are saying, hey, why not just put this turbo in the stock location? There's no room between the subframe and the engine down there to be able to get an up pipe through there. What a lot of people do on these flat sixes is they'll run 2 runners back, they'll come up, they'll meet up there, and then have an up pipe behind the front subframe. That's just not something that I want to do. I don't want to run exhaust manifolds and whatnot underneath of the front subframe, even closer to the ground. So we're just going to be doing turbo location here, and we'll figure out the rest from there. God, dude, that thing just looks so good. That's such a good looking turbo. I'm getting distracted. So now that I've kind of showed you guys that, giving you guys the update on that and showing that we have our turbo, let's start with fuel system stuff. Bro, it is like windy today. Look at that tree. Look at that, trees all over the place. But check this out. We now have a Dash 8 fuel line from the fuel pumps up here in the engine bay. So I need to run to AutoZone O'Reilly's and grab P-clips once Melanie or Matt or someone gets home. Since the Blobeye is down right now, it'll be back up and running on Monday. That's when all the parts come in. So we have our Dash 8 feed. I'm gonna have it go straight off of the frame rail right here, and that's where we're gonna pull our feed from. Now down, well, I guess back here in the fuel tank area, this was a huge pain in the ass to get everything to tighten properly. So right here we have pump number 2 that wraps around, goes up into our Y fitting right there. We have pump number 1 that just goes from an elbow into our Y fitting, and then there's our Dash 8. This is the crossover to the other side of the saddle, and then over here there's our Dash 8 line that then goes under the car. I'm gonna try my damnedest to go down there and show you guys this, but this is like no room. So down here, our fuel line comes out right there from where the fuel tank area was, and I'm gonna P-clip it along that frame rail right there, where it's then going to wrap up and around to where we have it up in the engine bay. So I can't get any of these covers back on quite yet. We will by the end of this video, hopefully, but that just needs to be P-clipped up to the frame rail. So I'll drill some pilot holes where we're gonna put the P-clips. We'll paint them so that way they don't rust, and then this fuel line will be secured right up there. Not a bad path, not a bad routing here. So now that I've got the feed coming up and out of there, I'm gonna get the intake manifold out of here, clean up this wiring a little bit, and just kind of tuck it away in the corner. Once it's kind of tucked away, I'm just gonna tuck it all away in the corner actually. Once like this is cleared out a little bit, we're gonna find a spot for the fuel pressure regulator. We're gonna run our return lines from the fuel rails over to the fuel pressure regulator, and then we can go back up to the hard line. Then we can mess with our feed over here for the fuel rails. So I've got the spot for the fuel pressure regulator figured out. It's gonna go right down there, which means I have to move the battery terminal post for up here. It's no big deal. I'll move it. I'll lengthen the starter cable back there. It is what it is. So over here on the table, I'm trying to figure out what AN fitting, because there's obviously going to be a couple AN fittings that I need to order. So starting with the Dash 8 side, I'm going to have both of these 180s come off of the fuel rail and then wrap straight back, go into 2 straight fittings, which is then going to go into a Y fitting, which I'm waiting on to show up Friday. That Y fitting will go into a 90, and then that 90 will go into that 35 or 45. I think that's a 45. That is going to come off of the actual fuel rail that comes out, or the actual fuel line that comes down there. As for the return side, so I'm gonna have 2 90s coming off of that. I actually might do, 2 90s that are gonna come off of that. I might order a 120 for this one right here. I actually might take that 120 that's right there and swap it with one of these 180s. I don't know yet, but this is pretty much the setup. So whenever you go and pick a spot for your fuel pressure regulator, there's a couple things you need to keep in mind. A, you need to be able to see the gauge. If you can't see the gauge, you're obviously not gonna be able to set fuel pressure properly. You're gonna need access to be able to get to that little nipple on it, which is for vacuum. And then you're obviously going to need to be able to adjust it. So I was like trying like down here, I was like, there's no way for me to access that stuff. I was thinking maybe up there on the firewall. I was like, I don't like that spot either. So strut tower, you are our winner. So I'm gonna start mocking up fuel line and making fuel line for this. If you guys don't know how to make fuel line, I've got a video on it. I'll like link it somewhere up here if you haven't seen it before. I'll also link it down below in the description. So let me start playing with this fuel system here and start getting these lines made. And then after that, we'll kind of see what we need to order to be able to complete all the fuel lines. So we've made strides of progress, but I am on standby until at least Melanie comes home. I can't do the feeds from the fuel rails to the fuel line yet. I want to order 120-degree fittings for these. I don't like using the 90s. The 120s, where is the 120 that I have? The 120 that I have is right there. So this is a 120-degree fitting. This is a -6, not a -8 though. So the -8, I want to get 2 of these so that way I can run the fuel lines like that, and then they'll run down through there to the Y right there on both sides. So I got to order those. I need to order a -6 180 also for this guy on the back of the fuel pressure regulator to go to the straight right there on the back of the fuel rail. Aside from that, we do have a return done right there. I did leave some slack in that line so that way as we have fabrication stuff, things are going to move around a little bit. So I have the return from the return line up here going back down to the fuel pressure regulator right there. So now we need to go get those P-clips so that way I can judge how much length to leave on this line and where to cut it. So for now we're on standby, so I'll see you guys in like 2 hours. So we are a couple hours in the future and I was successfully able to get all the P-clamps I needed. So now we can mount up the fuel line underneath the car and actually have it be secured instead of just dangling around, because we don't want fuel line dangling around under the car because A, that's dangerous. That's the main point, is A, that's dangerous. So I'm gonna go under the car. I'm gonna drill some very small, I guess, pilot holes into the frame. If I need to paint them, I will, but I don't think I will. I'll probably just go over them with a little bit of touch up, get all the P-clamps up in there and secure, be on our way. Once those are secure, we can come back up into the engine bay area and get the length kind of figured out for what we want for the main feed line coming from the fuel pumps up to the engine bay. So now that we have these, let's get going. Pretty much got the rest of up here wrapped up. We have our -8 feed coming in, so I left a little bit of slack on that line as well if I need it. But essentially it's just gonna tie in right there. We have a Y fitting that's gonna come off of that, wrap around to this fuel rail and that fuel rail. We've got this line done, wrapping back around to the fuel pressure regulator as well. And then we've got the hard line return done too. So the feed line comes down, well, it goes down there, bolts up to the transmission with a couple like of these P-clips that I've been using, and then mounts to the frame rail. So let me jump down there and I'll show you guys that. Oh my God, dude, there's like no room. So down here, you can see I secured it to the actual frame rail with those P-clips, so that way it's not gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna get the splash guard piece back on real quick, so that way these are like hidden and done, but it wraps up there, goes above the transmission cross member, and then up into the engine bay. So I'm pretty happy with all this. So the majority of the fuel system's pretty much knocked out at this point. I am gonna order a flex fuel sensor in the future. I think the first like break-in tune stuff will be on pump gas, so I'm not too concerned with that right now. It'll be easy to add it in. We just need to add it from the backside of the fuel pressure regulator before going back up to the hardline return. Stupid easy to add back in if, well, when the time comes when we're going to, but let me get that bottom splash guard pieces, or both of those bottom splash guard pieces, back on the car. And then I think that's where we're gonna stop for today, because I need the fittings. I got the lower panel cover dealio pancake looking things back on the car. You got to trim them a little bit with the fuel line on there, but that is the best routing for the fuel line that we could find. Let me show you the engine bay because it's getting more and more complete like every video, and I love it. You guys, it is looking like it's getting closer and closer and closer. So I'm super pumped for this thing to go to fab next week and get this turbo actually mounted up. We'll get it clocked and everything like that. Intake manifold's getting modified. Everyone keeps asking me if I'm powder coating the intake manifold. The answer is yes. After fabrication, that just makes the most sense. So fuel pressure regulator, look at that, we got that mounted up and good to go today. I'm pretty happy with the location of that. I do need to remount the power stud for the power coming in here. We have our fuel feed that's going to be coming through here. Once those fittings come in, we can wrap up the fuel system. I did leave enough slack, like I said, on the return side, so that way it's just that one line that we need to replace if we want to add flex fuel, which we will at some point, but it doesn't look like much has changed aside from a turbo sitting over there now, but fuel lines are in for the most part. The biggest one that we had to knock out today was that feed from the fuel pumps coming up, and I'm like more than happy with the way it came out. So the car is coming along nicely. I'm pretty happy with it. My goal is to get the car running by summertime for those who are asking. Super excited too. DC Power is setting up an alternator for this car also. We're getting the big boy 270 amp for this car because we're going to need all the reliability in the electrical system that we can with this car, especially in the top end once we really start making power with it. But pretty happy with the way that the car is coming out. It is like every single video, it's just getting closer and closer and closer. But keep in mind that a lot of people are like, hey, when's the car going to be done? Why isn't it done yet? You keep doing all this stuff. Keep in mind that it's primarily just myself going through and doing all this stuff on the car. So it's not like I have a team of people or endless funds or endless things like that. Like, I'm a dude in a garage. I'm not a shop. I don't have like expenditure amount of funds to be able to go do this. So just keep that in mind. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys on this one. So if you guys are doing custom fuel lines kind of like this and you're running a -8 fuel line from your fuel pumps up into the fuel tank, hopefully this helps you out a little bit with routing. But that's all I got for you guys. So if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, magenta, whatever color it turns to you. And color of the day today, we're gonna do pink because I don't think that's ever been the color of the day. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit your boy up one of these corners. No idea which one it'll be in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.